This is David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast, episode number 13 for July 9th, 2010. Do you know what that means, Keith?
What?
It means that this podcast has been running full year now.
Full year, wow.
Yeah, so this is the 1 year birthday anniversary of...
On the 13th podcast.
Exactly.
Let's make that number lucky for us.
Exactly, not a bad number like it usually is.
Yeah.
So if you haven't figured it out already, joining me today, of course, is photographer Keith Skrastins. Welcome back,
Hello.
Keith. Good to have you again.
I'm glad to be back. I love spreading the word, putting my name out there. So any venue I can promote myself. I love being here. I love being here.
Well, it definitely brings a little more livelihood to the podcast because having a guest here definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah, one with crazy ideas and crazy thoughts and crazy schemes. Just totally crazy. Yeah.
All kinds of crazy projects on the go.
Crazy projects, yeah.
Us creative types, huh?
Yeah. The scary thing is, I actually follow through with these ideas.
Yeah. Same here, or at least I try to.
Yeah, me too. I try to. I don't say I follow through. I actually try to. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I wanted to say thanks to Daniel Guy Martin for being on the podcast. If you missed that episode, you can check it out on my podcast blog, daw-music.com/daw-podcast. And Dan was a part of episode number 11. Have you listened to that episode, Keith?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, it's a good episode. You might want to check it out.
I'll go back to it.
Okay.
Do you post these on Facebook? Do you post post the links on Facebook? Because that's where I usually get all my media from. Is whenever someone posts something, I view it.
I think you're probably more likely to find it on Twitter, but maybe I should start posting that stuff too.
Or I could just go on Stumble Upon and click 1,000,000 times.
This is true. Would you eventually land on my podcast?
Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to really be diligent and look for it.
Yeah.
Have to narrow the search down.
No, that's a good idea though. I should really be posting these to Facebook.
Please do, and the thing is, I cross promote. If you post one on Facebook and I see it up on the wall, I would share it with my friends, of course.
Right.
Because I know how good your podcasts are and what you're doing with them.
Oh, thanks.
So kudos.
That'd be great. All right, so let's move on to some news items. As I mentioned in the previous episode, on July 10th, which is tomorrow, I am set to perform at an event benefiting the Weekend to End's Women's Cancers at the Wild Rose Brewery. So I'll be performing a solo set, and we'll also be performing with my friend Miss Y, who is a jazz singer. It is an 18-plus event, so if you're planning on coming out, make sure to come with an open mind, as there will be a variety of different performers there. And by the time you hear this episode, however, I will have already performed at this event. Most likely. I'm probably not...
Get your time machines.
That's right. I'm probably not going to come out with this tomorrow, but hopefully you heard my previous podcast episode and or have checked my website and are planning to come out.
Or you could work all night. You could work on the podcast editing all night and then post it at 4 in the morning. By the time people are getting up and listening to it, they'll be able to go to the show.
Yeah, I suppose that's doable.
Put some initiative into it, man.
Well, this event actually has been fairly well publicized in the Calgary Herald and stuff. So, and it's even been on the radio. So it's actually gotten a lot of publicity. And that's about it for the news, but be sure to periodically check www.daw-music.com for the latest. I do try and write a new blog post on a weekly basis, so new stuff up there regularly. Let's move on to some of the things that you wanted to talk about there, Keith. So I believe there were a couple things. You wanted to talk about Vulcan Fest.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll start off with talking about what I'll be doing at Vulcan Fest. A photographer friend of mine, a collaborator, Paige Woodbury, from Paige Woodbury Photography. Her and I have formed actually a photography society in Calgary that is geared towards local indie photographers. It started off with more of the music end, but now we have photojournalists and art photographers interested in becoming part of the society. Society. And what we're doing is, for our first collaborative project, is we are photographing Vulcanfest and turning these rock shots of this festival into pieces of art. And then in February, for Photography Month, we're going to go to the Resolution Gallery down in Kensington, and we're going to have a 3-week slot during Photography Month for the Vulcanfest retrospective, which we will be reliving Vulcanfest once again, but in February. And yeah, Vulcanfest is a one-day event down northeast of Vulcan in a huge canola field. Well, there's a green space where the houses and the barns and stuff are. That's where the festival's held. But in the middle of this huge canola field, we have this festival, this one-day event. 25 of Calgary's cream of the crop bands, and we're all there just to rock out, have a good time. It's I call it Calgary's Woodstock. I remember last year when I was driving home from Vulcan at 5 a.m, heading back, red-eyeing it back to Calgary. The first thing I said to my friend, I said, I cannot wait till the next one.
Yeah.
And I was even approaching the promoter in February, March about when's the next one, how can I take part? And so we're going to take part as the photographers there, and we're going to photograph the heck out of it, and it's going to be a good event. Well, like Frankie McQueen, the Nick Dixons, Telly, Black Phoenix Orchestra, what other bands? Like I believe Thank Magnets, Elevated Music, I believe Caught Off Guard as well. There's so many awesome bands. There's too many to mention, and it's just an amazing experience. It's just one of those moments where you are surrounded by music, people, harmony, pretty much, but you're also so in tune with yourself at the time, because the moment is so right. It's just this you almost walk around like with rose-colored glasses the whole day. That's what it feels like, and I'm really hoping that this year lives up to last year, because it'd be really good. But this ISO photography thing that we're doing as well with Paige and I is we're creating a support network for local photographers. So if you're a member of ISO Photography, Independent Society of Photography, it's called. If you're a member of this, you can access other members to help you out with shoots, help you out with like maybe borrowing lenses, borrowing equipment, like just being able to talk. Have 2 ISO members go to a show, and instead of competing for the shots, they're working together to get the shots. And it's like work with, not against. That's our whole thing. And that's the problem with sometimes, like I'll find when I'm shooting a show that I'm actually trying to compete with another photographer for a spot in front of the stage, behind the stage, or on the stage to get the shot. And Paige and I both saw that there was no need for that. So that's why we decided to collaborate and make ISO photography. So we're going to be having more collaborative projects after Vulcanfest, and in between the February show, we're going to have more collaborative projects. So look out for them. And that's what we're doing.
That sounds like a great idea.
Oh yes, and tonight, it's probably too late to mention, but tonight at the Dog and Duck, the Black Phoenix Orchestra is unleashing an EP. It's a new band. It's kind of a super group. Like you had Darren McDade, formerly from the Lions, Devin from formerly from Frankie McQueen, and then Greg from Yuri Yetvi. How do you say that name? You're Yetfi Flowshine?
Yeah, Jethry?
I can never. I'm sorry, guys.
Really sure.
I can never say it properly.
My bad.
and then who else is? And then Tyler Larson, Electric Monk, is part of that band.
Right.
And then we have, a new guy, Chris Campbell, who's an amazing guy. He's just what a great energy. He's a total rock star. And so they're having their EP release tonight at the Dog and Duck. So maybe next time when I come, I'll tell you how it was. But I'm really proud of that band, because like they've got a really good sound to them. You can tell like where the different influences came from, and they're just good people. So yeah, check them out.
Very cool. And of course, as far as Vulcan Fest is concerned, you'll also be there hanging out.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a little more work than play, right? So I always got a mission. I always got a mission in my head when I'm walking around doing something. So
Right.
And last year I was able to enjoy Vulcan Fest photographically, meaning that I went there through. I lived Vulcan Fest through my lens. When I saw a moment that I wanted to remember, I captured it.
Right.
And that's what I did. So yeah, so hopefully I'll play a little more this time than work.
Right.
But yeah, I got lots going.
Right. So Keith is going to be there at Vulcan Fest. So go and say hi to him. I might even be there too. Who knows? It's still up in the air at this point. It would be
We'll
cool.
hide you in the trunk. We'll hide you in the trunk.
And then kind of pop out when we arrive.
And you go, surprise! Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun.
Or what I'll do for fun is, because Vulcan's pretty close to the border, I'll just drive to the border, and then you'll be thudding, and then, hey, what's in the trunk there? I go, oh, it's just my digital audio workstation. Oh, okay.
Right. So it's your bass. It's your subwoofer.
I call David Andrew Wiebe the digital audio workstation for David Andrew Wiebe, DAW. Yes, but it's a little funny name I have for him.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing you wanted to talk about was your photo essays, right?
Yes, I've started working on some photo essays. I believe I know that my photographs really tell a good story, but I think that I want to kick it up a notch, and I want to take those photographs and have some written work attached to them, like maybe like a comment or a paragraph or even a sentence, telling my emotion, my thought, or my feeling, or what was behind that photograph. And I plan on doing many more photo essays. I just did my first one just recently, and I might send David the link, or David can link it up if you
totally.
If you want to check it out. And look up Skrastins Photographic on Facebook. We have a fan page, and you can become a friend and add me and come view my work. Comments are welcome. I really love the comments. It tells me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this begs the question, do you think I should have a Facebook fan page for the podcast?
I think so. I think you should. I'd join that.
All right. Well, maybe we'll hook that up as well.
Nice. Cool.
Let's move on to some music headlines. So here are a few music headlines that caught my attention. Bon Jovi apparently performed 72 different songs at the O2 Arena in London. There are 12 showcased material from their self-titled 1984 release, all the way up to their latest album, The Circle. What are your thoughts on that, Keith? 72 different songs in the span of 12 shows.
The span of 12 shows. I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling ripped off.
That didn't get to see their best material.
Yeah, well, like I'm sure that they had variety mixed in with it, and I'm sure they had to have played like some of the, like at least the core hit songs each show.
They must have.
They must have, because like if not, I would have felt ripped off.
I hear that.
Like unless you're a really diehard fan of a band, only a diehard fan can appreciate the B-sides.
That's right. You can't necessarily listen to the whole catalog and appreciate all of it unless you do have some familiarity with those albums.
Yeah.
And another music headline, former Beatle Ringo Starr celebrated his 70th birthday in New York's Times Square on July 7th. Ringo later played a concert at New York's Radio City Music Hall, and at the end of the show there was even a surprise appearance by Sir Paul McCartney. So there was sort of a Beatles reunion of sorts at the end of the concert.
Well, that's only the two of them.
Yeah, there's only the two
Noel
of them
and
left.
Gallagher should jointly reform the Beatles with Paul and Ringo.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
We're gonna talk more about that in a second. But
yeah, I can get them in the same room together. I'm surprised at the Beatles. Ringo Starr, good on you for being 70 years old. You really beat. You're like I think he's gonna be the last Beatle alive. Actually,
it's entirely possible.
I think he's going to.
I mean, Paul McCartney still seems very lively and energetic.
And he was the most underestimated Beatle as well, Ringo Starr.
That's true.
But come on, man, he's on Shining Time Station. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He was the conductor. Like that's cool. And I think with him, he's not afraid to try different projects. Like that. which is really good because I know that some musicians wouldn't touch a children's TV show if their life depended on it. So,
True.
But well, good on him. I'm proud, and good that he plays still too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're a musician and you got asked by Ringo Starr to play for him, you would consider that an honor. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, even if he was the most underestimated Beatle, he's still a legend of sorts.
I think he's very talented.
Yeah.
Very, very talented. I just think that I don't think he was too hung up on the whole fame thing.
Exactly.
I don't think he was too hung up on it. But some of them were, but yeah. Another like thing with the I was listening to the Eric Burdon and the Animals today. Do you know that band?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Host the Rising Sun.
Yeah, you bet.
San Francisco Nights.
You bet.
I was thinking like they were like. When they came out, it was the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Eric Burdon and the Animals. But Eric Burdon and the Animals didn't quite take it to that plateau that the Rolling Stones or the Beatles did.
Yeah.
But Eric Burdon and the Animals are still playing like shows here and there. But they had some really good songs. I think they're a little more edgier than the Rolling Stones, and a little more raw than the Beatles.
Right.
With their sound, because they were a good band. They were a good band. Check them out. Yeah. Got off topic there.
All right, so another music headline. Linkin Park is set to release a new album on September 14th entitled 1,000 Suns. The first single is going to be a song called The Catalyst, which is set to debut on radio worldwide on August 2nd. The band also plans on getting fans involved with a new promotion where fans get the opportunity to collaborate with Linkin Park. So I'm not exactly sure what that promotion is about, but it sounds like a very interesting move, and it's something that bands are doing more and more these days.
They didn't go wrong with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, their collaboration went really well. So, yeah.
But I'm not sure what this is going to be like if fans just get to kind of remix the Linkin Park tunes or something along those
Let's
lines.
hope it's not a Radiohead In Rainbows type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of a repeat of that.
Where it just flow. Well, not like because with Radiohead you could buy the album for like it was free or you could pay for it, and it really flopped.
Right.
But with collaborating, like who knows what you might come up with? Like if they give you a track and say here you can remix it or whatever. This goes into what I was talking about earlier with like the mashups. Like it could probably turn out to be really good.
Yeah.
Like some of these DJs are doing like all these mashups like with Miley Cyrus and Notorious B.I.G. mixed together, and it sounds awesome.
That's very interesting.
Or Jimi Hendrix and Jay-Z, like that's pretty edgy. And so maybe if that's what the collaboration is, that might be pretty good. But I don't see that. I don't see them sitting there having people audition to have musicians audition to be part of the band or to make one song with them. No, I don't see that.
I think it's some kind of free access to the fans to collaborate with Linkin Park, and I'm really kind of vague on that. I read the article, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So
it could even be a simple questionnaire. Do you want us to have more bass? Like,
yeah, it could be.
You know what I mean? Just like oh, you collaborated. Can you imagine the credit list on the CD jacket?
Oh no!
Crap, man.
You need like 18 pages or something.
Like 5 different languages, so everyone gets their shot.
Speaking of Radiohead, though, have you heard recently what Tom York has said?
No.
He says is that the music industry is dead. That was his latest comment.
As cynical as it sounds, it's somewhat true.
The way it's going.
Not dead, maybe dying.
Perhaps.
I think that what's happened, I think the whole world has been totally affected by this whole social networking thing.
Definitely.
And this whole like instant gratification. There are huge corporations, huge bands that spend millions of dollars on promoting, and they're using Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of these, accessing all of these things, and they're right alongside the amateur garage band that is using Facebook and Twitter to promote their music.
Yeah.
So it's easier to become famous nowadays, and maybe that's why he said music is dead, because it's the thought and the hard work is not being put into it as much as it was back in the day, and really a lot of it, like especially in the pop genre, it's all about if you look good. It doesn't matter how you sound, as long as you look good, that you're fine.
Yeah, that has been kind of a sad trend of the industry, but I guess what I feel is that it's changing more so than it's dying. The way we used to know the music industry with the labels and that is that model is starting to die. But I think there's still plenty of opportunity for indie music. And I mean, if you get your song placed in a movie or video game, that kind of thing is still very much happening and alive. And I think there's still a value to music, is what I'm trying to say. But
what happens when there's a death? There's a rebirth, right?
yeah,
That's how it is. And I don't think that Tom York doesn't see that as well. I think that he said that just to kind of make a point.
right.
Like, the music as we knew it is dead, and I guess we're gonna have to go to another era. But,
I think that I could see.
People were saying that in the 80s,
Right.
Like, music is dead, and that was because of the music video.
Yeah.
And the cassette tape, because
Right.
people because the cassette tape was converting records into bootleg cassettes and 8-tracks into bootleg cassettes, and people were having these mixtapes all around.
And you could record the stuff on the radio.
Yeah, and record stuff on the radio. So, if tapes didn't kill music, and burning CDs didn't kill music, and Napster didn't kill music.
Exactly.
Music will never die. It's going to morph and change into its own. It's an evolving entity all the time. Like, it's always evolving.
And it's the same thing that happened when sheet music was first introduced with the printing press, because people thought, well, if I can just play this at home, why would I ever need to go see a proper musician play this piece? But of course, people found
Johann Gutenberg.
but people found pretty quickly that they couldn't just play Bach or just play Mozart. Like, you actually had to have a lot of skill in order to play these masterpieces, and so
Imagine what Metallica would have done back then, huh?
yeah. Lars Ulrich upset about sheet music.
Totally, oh man, they had like a witch hunt, like one of those Salem witch hunt things back in the.
That would be funny.
Yeah. He's playing Enter Sandman. He's a witch.
Yeah.
My oh my.
He would have had a heyday with that.
Yeah. So yeah, so what other news items do we have?
Right, so that's actually all for my part, but there's something that you wanted to talk about.
I had one news item. Richard Ashcroft from The Verve said that Noel and Liam Gallagher will do fine just splitting up. Like, they'll do good for themselves as separate artists. And I want to hear David's thoughts on that.
Well, I have to wonder, like, maybe the two, there's just too much tension between them. Perhaps they would be more prolific. Maybe not necessarily as creative, but more prolific if they worked outside of the whole machine that is Oasis. That's kind of my thought on it.
I see that the best work from an artist comes out of oppression or some sort of sorrow.
Right.
And so, like, some of their albums, like, especially when they were at each other's throats, just they're amazing. They're amazing. Then the contrast example to that was when they went sober for a while there, the two brothers. Mm-hmm. They made Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, and that was a brilliant album as well. But when they were at each other's throats for, like, Be Here Now and what else? And What's the Story of Morning Glory? It was really, like, they're amazing albums.
Right.
Like, definitely Maybe is one of my favorite albums as well. That's just when they were starting out, though. But, like, when you go later into their later work, it was more aged. It was more aged, and I think that I'm sure they'll do well without each other. But it's just I as much as they might hate each other, they're brothers.
Yeah.
And they took on the world. They took on the world through rock and roll. They really shaped how rock and roll is today.
Right.
Because, like, you go to any, like, most local bands that I've talked to, one of their influences is Oasis. So
right, they're pretty major influence.
Yeah, they're a pretty major influence, and, like, even, like, everyone in the world knows Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Right, so that, but will they do good on their own? Noel is a brilliant songwriter, just brilliant songwriter. Liam has an energy that they cannot be matched by any musician I've ever seen. So I think that he'll do fine as well.
Right.
But Liam's starting a clothing line actually. And so he's going off onto that, but he's doing some of his own work, and he's written a few songs as well. Like my favorite song written by Liam is Little James, and he wrote that about his stepson, and it's a really nice song.
Right.
And then Noel just it's really sad with the problems that they had, because there were times where Liam said, like, I'm not playing a show, and then Noel would have to do it himself. So Noel would always pick up the pieces or pick up the slack whenever Liam totally just buggered off.
Yeah.
There was one show they were playing a smaller venue, more of an intimate crowd, and Liam said, I have laryngitis, I'm not playing. Okay. So Noel was playing, and he goes, I'm sorry, my brother has laryngitis, like, he's not playing tonight. And Liam was in the back of the crowd smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, heckling him. So that's like, do you really want to work with someone like that? That's another thing to look at. Do you really want to work with someone like that?
Can you work with them long term? I mean, they've had such a long run already. I mean, not
15
as long.
15 years.
Not as long as some bands, but hey, I mean that's lasting a very long time in the industry these days.
Wait till another year or two. Glastonbury, they'll play.
You think so?
They'll play together. Yeah, they're gonna both come up with an album.
Yeah.
They're gonna both come with an album each, and then they're gonna be like, okay, play Glastonbury, secret show, kind of like secret bill, be on the bill secretly. I mean, and then they'll play, and then they'll be back together.
Well, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, but can you imagine Oasis playing their whole set list, each album? Can you imagine that?
As opposed to Bon Jovi doing it.
Yeah. Actually, a little Oasis tidbit. The reason why Liam sings with his arms behind his back and his hands behind his back, and that is actually the Manchester stance for "I want to fight you."
Really?
So he's pretty much saying to 10,000 people a night, "I want to fight you." So, and when they came to Calgary, I was really stoked. They could have walked on stage, flipped this off, and walked off, and that my ticket would have been paid for. So that's what you expect from them. So I really I will miss the hijinks that they had as a duo.
Right.
I'll really miss that. So.
Well, that's when they came in 2008, right?
Yeah, 2008. Yeah.
And the highlight of the night for me was actually Ryan Adams.
What, really?
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be as good as he was. It was actually very entertaining, I thought.
The highlight for me was "What's the Story, Morning Glory," that song.
Right.
Or Morning Glory, Morning Glory. Yeah. And have you seen the Oasis video for "Falling Down"?
I have not.
It takes a real jab at the royal family.
Huh.
What the video is, it shows a woman that becomes a princess, like a British princess. And it shows her life from the lower class England all the way up to the palaces and the mansions, the gloves, like the arm gloves with the nice dresses and the pearls and stuff like that.
Right.
And the champagne, the sherry, all that stuff. And then at the end, she's doing a meet and greet with she's doing a royal meet and greet with all of these people in this this red carpet kind of area, and the Oasis is standing there, and she goes up to Noel and Liam Gallagher, and she goes to shake their hand, and they just look her up and down, and they say they totally snub her, and then so I took that as a total slight to the royal family, and
right.
and how they and what they're taking, what their feel is on the royal family.
Interesting.
So and that was kind of an interesting way to show that view. So.
Very much.
I know I've gone off on a tangent here.
Oh no, that's great.
On a crazy tangent.
Another thing I wanted to say though, as far as tension-filled bands go, there are definitely other examples of bands that produce some great material. I believe Police was one of them.
Yeah, they can't even be in the same room together.
Right. Other examples including, I think, early Mr. Big or even Van Halen at certain points. They were, Eddie didn't get along with Dave or Sammy, whoever was the lead singer at the time.
The Sex Pistols.
Right.
Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten. That was a duh. Then you bring Nancy into it. That's even worse. It's just but that's probably my favorite punk band.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's classic.
Yeah, my favorite local punk band is the Mad Cowboys, though. I've yet to meet them, and I've yet to hear them play live. I want to catch one of their shows out, but they're one of my favorite local bands, and like, I'd like everyone to know that. So if you're listening, you're one of my favorite local bands. So yeah, I'd love to photograph you sometime. I'd love to photograph you guys sometime.
Very cool. Well, those are the music headlines for today.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about my vacation. In June, I had the chance to go on a 2-week vacation to Portland, Oregon, and Southern California. And Portland was quite cool and rainy most of the time, while California was, of course, sunny and hot as expected. One of the most memorable parts of the trip for me was the drive from Washington into Oregon, because you actually see the Columbian River Gorge. And that's just quite an amazing sight when you see the river and Mount Hood. And you can't always see Mount Hood. It's sometimes obscured by the clouds or whatever else, but that's in the atmosphere.
It was funny when you were on vacation. There was like 5 times where I grab my phone and go, "Oh, I'm gonna call David," and then I look at my Facebook wall and I see that you wrote something about Cal. I said, "Oh man."
Yeah.
And then I go, "I'm gonna write David," and then I go to your profile and it sees that you write something about like Oregon. I'm like, "Oh man." So I wanted to like talk to you about this podcast actually,
right.
The next one, but like there's 5 times I wanted to call you, but you weren't to be found because you were in the States.
That's right. We really needed to get together, but of course I was away for an additional 2 weeks.
Did you experience any music down there?
A little bit. We did go to a bar in Portland, Oregon, and we watched some live blues.
Nice.
Which is always enjoyable. People like to kind of dance and have fun with it. I think for me, like, I just prefer to be up there playing than watching any band in particular, unless it's my most favorite band. But it was still pretty fun.
I can't watch a band. I have to have my camera. I have to shoot a band. I can't watch a band. I have to shoot it, and that's how I enjoy the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you go to Seattle?
No, we didn't go to Seattle.
Most of the time,
most of the time we were just in Portland for as far as Oregon's concerned, and Washington. We really just drove through. Like we stopped in Ritzville, I think, but other than
Ritzville.
that, yeah,
very ritzy.
We may have stopped. It's a very quaint place. It's an interesting place.
Like Twin Peaks. Do you ever see that show?
No.
Oh, that's creepy.
We did stop in at. I think we stopped in a Spokane at one point just to get some gas and stuff.
Spokane?
Yeah. I couldn't really tell you much. I do remember seeing a lot of churches and a lot of interesting architecture, but like we just drove through pretty well. So.
What did you do in California?
Yeah, so in California, my stepsister was graduating from high school and did not get to attend her actual graduation, but kind of the after party of sorts, and we went out for some food, and that was pretty fun. Got to see Redlands and Palm Desert.
Nice.
Yeah, Palm Desert is a nice area, but it's very much like a resort town with golf courses and all that kind of stuff. But it's still a cool place to be. It's very hot and warm and dry, as you might expect. We ate at a place called the Cheesecake Factory, and I swear,
whoa,
they have everything on the menu that you could ever want. They got pasta, they got burgers, they got pizza, salads, whatever you want. Plus, of course, dessert.
Any shopping?
Not a whole lot, but we did end up stopping at a bunch of Ross Dress for Less, which the Canadian equivalent is Winners.
Oh, nice. I love that store.
Yeah.
Winners.
And I ended up getting a whole bunch of new clothes because it was very affordable. And that's the one thing about States is that the food is also very affordable. The only thing is, if you end up getting drinks, you end up paying a lot more. So don't buy drinks, just buy the food, and it actually comes out a lot cheaper.
Yeah, well, that's so you can pay for your health care.
Yeah.
Pay for your health care and all that stuff. I really sometimes get depressed watching those American networks, and channels, and seeing all of those insurance ads and all of those healthcare ads, and all of those really entry level college kind of ads. It's kind of depressing. I find it. I don't know what
Well, and so many of these people presenting these things have ulterior motives of their own, and they're trying to push some other product that people should buy. So it's really kind of corrupt, and it's hard to even know what to believe in most of the time. And that, I mean, I think part of it too is they're trying to push fear in the States. I could be wrong, but I kind of agree with Marilyn Manson's take on it that if you keep people unhealthy and afraid they'll pretty much do whatever you want them to do.
Yeah. We are very fortunate in Canada.
Yeah.
To have what we have.
Now, granted, we do have some of the same healthcare and insurance problems that I'm sure our listeners in the States are experiencing, but
we're very comparable to Britain, actually.
Yeah.
Like very comparable to the UK. So and I prefer that over. I won't say anything.
Fair enough.
I don't want Homeland Security after me. No.
Yeah. But while we were in California too, we got to stop for a lot of Mexican food. My mom's a big fan, so that was part of the reason.
So who'd you go with?
So I actually went down there with my mom and my stepdad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we drove as far as Portland, and once we were in Portland, we took the flight to California.
Okay.
So it was a pretty cool trip. Although, like, about 6 days out of the whole 2 weeks I was on vacation, we were pretty much traveling. So either driving or on an airplane.
It's not bad though. Like the drive. Like I don't mind driving.
No, actually, it was cool to have kind of a road trip like that. And like I said, like the drive from Washington into Oregon is it's incredible. So very cool.
Yeah.
I really like to see more of Portland. I've heard so much of it being like an artsy town and musical town and having a lot of creativity there. But
roll off farm. Go play in the pirate ship.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what to say about
that
it.
That dude's crazy. That dude is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some of the things are just like, wow. I'm surprised he's still married to Amy, because Amy just like, she rolls her eyes like they're sitting at dinner and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna build a pirate ship in the backyard. Like, what? The kids need braces. The kids need shoes. No, I need a pirate ship. That's the impression that I get though. So
priorities, right?
Or buying 2 Mercedes. Like I'm sure that TLC's paying them enough.
Yeah.
Maybe John and Kate could live there. Or Kate could live there. With
right.
8 kids in the pirate ship. Yeah, it'd be fun for them. Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. There's a little bit of a summary of my vacation. Of course, I might talk more about it on my blog. So
my weird 2 cents.
Yeah, and just keep checking back. Now we're gonna go to a new segment. We're gonna talk a little bit about the connection between music and visual mediums right after this. As you may already know, the David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business podcast does not bring in any income on its own. I've set up a few different ways in which you can help support future episodes of the podcast. Number 1, purchase an album or any of the merchandise in my store, www.daw-music.com/store.html. 2, make donations via PayPal. Click on the donate button on the left sidebar on the podcast blog. 3, share these podcast episodes with your friends, forward them the link, or use any of the social media links offered on the site. 4, suggest new ideas for the podcast. If you know of anyone that would be a good fit for an interview, or if there are any topics you think I should be covering, please email me at david@daw-music.com.
Okay, we're back. We're going to be going to talking about music and visual media, how they work together and how they live together.
Yeah.
Music and media has been pretty much together ever since the birth of photography. Mm-hmm. Everything from like taking pictures of the band, like the old band, mm-hmm. or like the military bands, to like just like regular musicians, like just a portrait of them, all the way up to like when it really got big into the 60s, like the 50s, 60s, when the people were starting to do rock photography, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, all those things.
Yeah.
And musicians have used photography and visual art to project their own agenda, project their own thoughts on causes, on different views of the world. Like when they photographed in at John and Yoko's bed-in, like photographing that. They really go well together, don't you think? Like, mm-hmm. like the two mediums, music and photography especially. It's allowed bands to promote themselves instead of just using print or just their music. Because if a band has a really, really good picture to go with their album, people are going to take a look and notice. And one photograph comes to mind is the Bruce Springsteen Born to Run. All it is a black and white photograph with Bruce Springsteen on a white background, and it's just something as simple as that. And that pretty much tells the story of one of the better albums of the later 20th century. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, David? What are your thoughts on
Yeah, well,
get
with
the ball rolling a bit?
all this talk about 60s psychedelia, something that came to mind for me was this photo photo session of Jimi Hendrix with the fisheye lens. But obviously that's like an image that's stuck in my mind because it was specifically designed for him and his band and kind of the image that they were projecting at the time.
Well, and Rolling Stone really picked up on the whole idea of rock photography and saying, hey, this is something we could use and something we could run with. Yeah. And that's how it really morphed. And then I'm sure that and nowadays in the indie scene, there's lots of photographers that are friends with a band, and the band says, hey, bring your camera to my show and I'll pay you $100 or $150 to shoot my show, and then it gets going that way.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard to explain how the harmony between the two, because photography is all about capturing an emotion or a feeling, and with music it's nothing but raw emotion and feeling. Mm-hmm. And a good photographer can really capture a show, or more than a show, by capturing a show or a band or whatever.
It seems to be that having an image is more important than ever before. You think Bryan Adams, it's very simple. Usually he was wearing a white shirt with jeans, and it's just the simplest thing. And he says because it's easier to see someone on stage with a white shirt than a black shirt. Yeah. I mean, that was his whole thought process behind that. But even nowadays, I think of Lincoln Brewster, he has a gold Stratocaster with the blonde spiked hair, and it's simple, but that is kind of his image.
Well, the other thing too is the candid photos of the green rooms, the backstage, the on tour. Before, if you took those photographs away, those candid photographs away, you would not really be able to know what the actual musician is like true to life, right? Yeah. And I think that not only does it can you capture the music through photography, you can capture the person behind the music through photography, and capturing that I think is more valuable than actually capturing the music on film.
I think that is a vital part of being a musician. Is actually it's become more important that you have a personality or some other focus or some other interest besides music. You think of the top sellers on CD Baby. One of them is a lady who is a full-time sailor and then comes back and writes an album every year, kind of thing. And I think I've maybe made that mention before. That's one of the top sellers though. So obviously having a story behind your music is just as important as the music itself.
Well, and not only is it it's to capture the history of what we're doing, of the music. It's everything needs to be documented. I think that one of the things that music has done and musicians have done is they've really used the medium of visual media to help document and create the history. Right. Whoever brought a camera to Woodstock, that's pretty neat. Yeah. It's one of the most, music is one of the most documented things around nowadays. It's we get blasted with it. Right. And we have various celebrity portrait artists that are specialized at Annie Leibovitz, things artists like that really take it to that level to not only present the artist but turn the artist into art themselves. Right. So yeah.
Well, there is a certain look and feel. I don't want to say it changes with every decade, but it seems to be that there is that 10-year progression or cycle sometimes. In the 60s, I'm thinking pink and orange and yellow and swirly kind of motifs. And nowadays, what has been trending for a long time, it seems, is still kind of that aged, worn kind of sandpaper look.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the trends of today. So
in the 90s, we had a lot of real attitude, like really high contrasty, low saturation photographs were just raw and real. Like, it was almost like the music industry saying, okay, the world just survived the Cold War, we're here. Well, like, it was like, I really look at the 90s as a 60s number 2. That's how I looked at the 90s.
Right.
Because it was very bohemian, very a romantic. The 90s was a very romantic time, and you can see that in the photographs. The 80s was a very flashy time.
Yeah.
Where everything was crisp and clean. There's a lot of modern, postmodern influences within the photography, and then nowadays, like, in the late 90s, we started going to the clean-cut, polished kind of boy band kind of thing. And clean-cut, polished photographs, very disco-like almost. And then as we progressed into the early 2000s, we started getting back into more the art of the art of it, almost like a surrealist style of picture,
right,
with that HDR photography, like high dynamic range and stuff like that. So not only has music evolved, but the imagery has evolved with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, of course, we talked a little bit earlier, but music videos, the introduction of music videos, of course, now music converged with the visual image, which, I mean, for some people...
It killed music.
Right.
Killed music.
For some people, that's a good thing. For some people, that's a bad thing. I mean, pop songs kind of come attached with fairly scandalous kind of image most of the time, and so it's like, I don't know, is this something I really want to be watching?
Well, the problem with
really interesting?
The problem with music videos is an ugly guy like me cannot be a musician now. I can't. Because are they really going to put me on MTV? I don't have a chiseled face.
Well,
I don't have, like, spiky hair.
There is, of course, the example of Meatloaf, but it seems to be few and far between. If you work really, really, really flipping harder than anyone else, then you can make it without being a model or comedian.
Dreams come true.
I know what you mean, too, because, like, making it a visual medium has all of a sudden meant that, you have to abide by society's standards of beauty, which is...
Look at Andrew WK. Like, he totally, like, wears the same shirt, wears the same pants. It's, like, ketchup stained. It's just dirty everywhere. And he rocks it. And it's really become like a real style to him. He has greasy hair, gross hair, and like he's played with that, and he's allowed imagery to take that to the next level.
Yeah.
Like, even if you take movies and like movies that are ingrained in our pop culture, like Natural Born Killers, Pulp Fiction, Fight Club, all of those films used great imagery, but they had great soundtracks.
Yes.
Like, I remember Ed Norton sitting tied up in the office building, and Where Is My Mind by the Pixies is playing as the buildings are crashing down.
Yeah.
And he's realizing that he is Tyler Durden. And like that's just, I'm sorry, I ruined the movie for everybody.
Dramatic moment.
Yeah, or like or Natural Born Killers. Did you see that movie?
I don't think I have seen that one.
It's one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen, but it's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And there are just so many great songs in that film that are attached to imagery.
Right.
And yeah, like, and that's the other thing too, is where music has helped film is through the soundtrack. Yeah. There are some really great, like Empire Records is my favorite soundtrack ever made. That and Platoon's soundtrack was really good, with a lot of the 60s Vietnam War era music.
Right.
And it's almost like when you listen to those soundtracks, it almost feels like you are part of the actual film or the storyline. Yeah.
Definitely. Like, I enjoy a lot of Bill Conti stuff, but people might remember the movies, the whole Karate Kid series, especially with the advent of the latest Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if I want to touch that, but actually I hear it's pretty good. But
you're just mad that they didn't pick you in the audition.
Actually, yeah, I wanted to be Karate Kid. I don't know. But the music there, like, I think like 3 and the next Karate Kid were pretty terrible movies, to be honest.
I like Three Ninjas better.
Yeah. Oh no. I'm not sure I want to touch that one either, but I'm not crazy about Three Ninjas. But, I mean, it was fun as a kid.
Yeah.
But the music that was in the Karate Kid 3 and the next Karate Kid was actually quite beautiful.
What songs were in it?
Well, some stuff that was composed, I believe, by Bill Conti. So,
okay. Jan Hammer, Miami Vice.
Oh yeah, another great,
crazy stuff. Great, crazy stuff. I have that on my YouTube favorites actually. Sonny Crockett's theme song. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome. Yeah, like what other movies have were impacted by music? Forrest Gump. Like everyone owns a Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like and that's another one. Yeah.
Well, I know this one's a little underrated and maybe a contentious issue, but Zoolander. I mean, it really wouldn't be a movie
Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, wouldn't be a movie if it didn't have the music. Right?
Yeah.
So of course they picked a lot of kind of 80s hits and stuff. So it was, I mean. Hard to go wrong there, but and then of course the whole advent of video games, like it used to be, even just when we were kids, like the music was still just bleeps and bloops.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're talking about MIDI, incorporating MIDI into it, and then next thing you know, like there's orchestral soundtracks to music these days.
PlayStation 1 had the game Road Rash, where it was a bunch of where you were doing a motorcycle race and you had chains and pipes and you would like kind of do Mortal Kombat. It's kind of Mortal Kombat meets like a motorcycle racing thing, and they had Vertical Horizon's first like mainstream gig was on the soundtrack of the game Road Rash.
Right.
So that's pretty neat. Like that is really neat actually.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So.
Like one of the most brilliant ones I think for the PS1 is still the Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, with like Goldfinger and like all those bands. Like that was the first real game that brought out like actual yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was a cool soundtrack. Like even though it was, I mean there was only a limited number of tracks. Like I think there were maybe 9 or 10-ish. They repeated, but they kind of stuck in your brain because you're playing the game for hours and you hear the same songs. And they actually had some really interesting picks. I think they had like Primus in there and some other interesting bands. Dead Kennedys maybe.
What's your favorite music video?
Favorite music video? That is a tough one. Back in the day, believe it or not, I really liked Mo Money, Mo Problems.
That's an awesome video.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. It's a kind of a guilty pleasure of sorts.
Moonlight Desires by Gowan. Remember I showed you that?
Yeah.
That is like the craziest, like I honestly, if that was Canadian, if that was government funded, that's why we don't have a good military. That's why. Thank you, Gowan.
The pyramids.
For your kicks and spins on top of a freaking pyramid.
With an owl.
Wearing a blue silk shirt and tight black pants.
Silhouetted against a full moon.
It's a fun video to watch. I love that song. It's a fun song. One video that I like is Never Tear Us Apart by NXS.
Right.
It was shot in Prague. And it was Michael Hutchins walking around Prague as he sang this song, and it's just one of the most beautiful songs ever created. And another one that I really enjoy, it's a very simple video, is Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You.
Right.
It's just the headshot. It's just a headshot of her in a black background wearing a black turtleneck, and all you can see is her head as she's and when you see that tear, it's just like like wow, like it's a powerful video.
True.
Yeah.
Another one that I liked a lot was Remy Shen, Take a Message.
Yes.
Great.
No one likes that guy. I love him.
Oh,
man.
I think his music was fantastic.
Do you know how he got started?
No. Well, I guess I know a little bit.
His dad was a contractor. His dad was a construction contractor.
Right.
And went with his dad to an old jazz club one time, and they were remodeling, and the owner says, "Here, Remy, I don't need these," and it was a box of records, Motown records.
Right.
And like Remy studied these records, perfected his craft.
Forwards and backwards.
Forwards and backwards, played it right, and he was the first white person to be signed to Motown.
Yes.
And that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
It's too bad that we haven't heard anything new from him, but his first album for me is a classic. I still enjoy it.
Burning Bridges.
Still enjoyed listening the whole way through. The whole album is just great, and he did like 95% of the instruments on the whole thing.
Yep.
So
Burning Bridges.
Yeah,
is my favorite song by him.
That's a great song. I think I started to like. There's one towards the end. I can't remember what, Liberate or something like that. It's a good song.
Another good video is "Hung Up" by Madonna.
I'm not sure I've seen that.
It's I know it sounds I'm a fan of like the corny the corny 2K's UK disco music, like
it was almost like
Kylie Minogue and all that stuff. Like those videos were really neat because like they're so flashy, so poppy,
kind of 70s
over
style.
the top almost.
Yeah.
Straight out of Compton with NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. that was interesting. That was interesting, but and then like on the local level with visual media, bands will bring video cameras and pass it off to a friend, say videotape our show.
Yeah.
Some bands actually have videographers that will videotape the show for them.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing as a music photographer in the music scene is photographing those moments off stage.
Yeah.
Like those candid moments, or those moments that are just so picture perfect that you have to see it to believe it. Like, I remember I recently shot the Nick Dixons a month or so ago, and we were out by the train yards, and it was just a beautiful setting because there was the sun was just coming down going down in the west, and I was getting lots of lens flare action, things like that, and it was really and now looking back at those pictures. And listening to their new album, the Giraffe EP, check it out. They just fit so well. And the funny thing was I never really appreciated the Giraffe EP as much as I should have until I saw the photos with the music.
Right.
And it was amazing how in sync a band and a photographer can be together when they're working together.
Yeah, and sometimes that's my experience with the making of like DVDs as well, where they actually show the band in the studio. Like most of the time, they kind of just show you a little bit of rehearsal, a little bit of not even principal recording. But I've seen DVDs where they actually show the band starting with rehearsal, the actual rehearsal sessions, the actual recording, like 2-disc sessions. And man, that changes your experience of the album.
Back on the Nick Dixons, last summer, I was there for when they were working on the weekend for the Panda EP, and I was at the Outhouse Studios with them down in Kensington area, and I was able to photograph them, and that was an experience. And I really, after that, I appreciate musicians more. Because I know, I've seen what toll it takes to create an album.
Right.
Like even talking with you, like how beaten bagged you are at times. Like, but like the thing is, like then you take it to another level, is that like people see me at shows or people see me at a band shoot. I'm there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, but they don't see the 10, 15, 20 hours afterwards. When I'm sitting in front of my computer all week, they don't see that. But it's like I think that the one thing that's happened through time is I think that music is appreciating visual more, and visuals appreciating music more. That's why we are coming up with better work visually.
And I think that's a good point too. Like other art forms wouldn't have quite as much inspiration if music did not exist. It's kind of a dependent relationship almost. Like literature and music has its connection, visual mediums have their connections, theater, drawing, painting, all that stuff kind of has a connection because it's all creative work and it inspires each other in a way. Yeah,
like you said, they are dependent on each other, and they each have their place. Like with music, there's music photojournalism. Yeah. There's promotional photography.
Yes.
There's just pure plain documenting, and that's what I search for on the internet all the time. Is like I want like all the documented I'd rather see a band sitting on a couch in a green room, like drinking beer or whatever, and they're just having a moment. Because those are moments we don't usually get to see.
Yeah.
Like we always connect the music with the stage. Why don't you connect the music with the with their actual lives where it actually came from?
Right.
But and forgive me for being so bold to say this. I don't see too much merit when it comes to the pop artists that are manufactured, and they are and their songs are written for them, their instruments are played for them, and all they do is just sing off a sheet that they've been given, and their
vocals are out of tune for them.
Yeah, and then they have to master it and everything, and you can see that you can really see that like in the backstage moments with the band with the group, the pop group like that, you'd see them sitting there drinking Evian and eating Toblerone and green M&Ms.
Yeah.
But then you go to a rock band and you go to their green room and you take some photos. You see one guy ripping his hair out. You see another guy throwing throwing a bottles of not Jack Daniels anymore. That's more of the '70s, but like Leonard Skinner style. But no, but like you just see that the toll has been taken on them. Mm-hmm. The toll has been put on them. And do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
was I bold to say that, or
with a band, there's a camaraderie that develops on tour. Yeah. And I'm sure maybe there's some camaraderie between like pop singers and their dancers, but that aside, it's very different. Like you go on tour, you're with these guys, you're practically married to them because that's what a band looks like. Honestly, you're committing to the right group of people.
Yeah.
And if it isn't the right group of people, it doesn't work. So there is so much more camaraderie that develops on the road, on tour, playing with the band.
Well, and I've experienced that myself. When I've traveled with a band a few times, like a bunch of bands. Even going to Vulcan Fest last year. Going to Vulcan Fest last year when we traveled, it was just this huge journey, and we all had this one goal to make it there, and we all did our part.
Yeah.
And my part was of course documenting it, but and then same thing with going to Lethbridge, traveling with the Nick Dixons, documenting it. It was at times, as a photographer, I've noticed that at times you can be part of the group. But at times you have to remove yourself for a second and be an observer in order to get the proper documentation.
Right.
Did that make sense there?
I think so.
Okay, it made sense. Okay. We're on this huge rant about visual and music. I like it. It's really neat.
Actually, it's very interesting.
So I hope you cut it the right way or whatever.
Yeah.
So to make us sound all suave and debonair.
That's right. There will be a little bit of editing going into this podcast, and you're not going to hear it because it's going to be all edited. But
yeah, totally. Do you ever do that at a McDonald's drive-thru?
No.
Hi, I have a cheese.
That's like Wayne's World.
Quick, Coke, please, fries. What? I can't hear you. Oh, so 1 sec. Is something wrong? Yeah, that's funny.
Actually, something you said earlier too reminded me about Wayne's World though.
That's one of the best movies ever made, actually.
Yeah, I think actually Wayne's World 2 though, where they go to England and they meet. I don't remember the character's name, but he's got like the stacks of photo albums around with him and like touring around with Led Zeppelin or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought of that too. Is like you get to see the band in a different light than you would on stage.
Almost Famous.
Almost Famous?
Almost Famous. The movie Almost Famous, with Kate Hudson.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's about the story's based on a young Cameron Crowe, who was 16 years old writing for Rolling Stone, following a band around for the summer, and that movie teaches any photojournalist, especially music photojournalist, good lessons. And the one main rule is when you're a journalist is don't become friends with you, which I've broken that rule numerous times.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that because I'm still able to document and catalog it the way that I would anyways. But I'm friends with you, right? So
yeah.
Like that, but I think it's different on the local level. Like I think it's different, like, because we all have to be working together. Like, I'm sure that if I worked for Rolling Stone, they plot me in the seat next to Oasis and say, okay, follow Oasis around for the summer. I'm sure that I would have to, I'd have to be cordial with them. Like, of course, friendly with them, but I could not try and befriend them because I'd have to. Because my main objective is to document the band and not disrupt the band's ecosystem.
And it might be harder to become friends too, just because they'll be, they'll have so much to do.
Yeah.
Interviews, touring, playing shows.
But on a local level, it's different because you have to be friends with these people so you can work together and help build each other up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the cooperation that's happening in the local scene.
Totally. So. I'm surprised at all the computers in this place. Wow.
I guess there's 3 or 4 in the same room. Not as many as there used to be.
Yeah. And last time I commented on that old iMac.
Yeah, the G3.
The G3.
Still there.
I'm getting an iPhone today, and it's a 3GS. Is it the same capacity as that one? Is it?
No. Actually, I'm not sure if it even has, like...
Is there a hip
that
holster
much
for that?
storage? What?
A hip holster for that. Let me pull out my iPhone. Dude, that's... They should put a phone application on the iPad. That'd be awesome. Like, hold this huge tablet up to your head. I'd love that.
Yeah. There's been so much talk about the iPad. I haven't actually even looked at the thing.
I'm thinking of buying one over a laptop, actually.
Oh, interesting.
So I'll have my iMac, my iPhone, and my iPad.
Wow.
So I'm kind of an Apple kind of guy, aren't I? Even though
guess
I'm allergic
you
to
are.
apples. That's a tidbit you'll know about me is Keith Skrastins is allergic to apples. He has a sensitivity to bananas and strawberries and grapes as well.
Wow.
So, but I still love like fruit smoothies and stuff like that, as long as there's none of that stuff in there.
Which is a little hard to do because banana happens to be an ingredient in a lot of them. But
I know. None of that spinach stuff. I'm gonna just gotta try that spinach stuff that you had today. I'm gonna start eating like David Andrew Wiebe.
There you go.
It's awesome.
I'm an inspiration to people everywhere.
I'm almost there. I'm drinking Activias each morning.
There you go.
But I'm not like up to like the blender regiment.
That's mostly what I do. So.
Dude, we should make a blender recipe cookbook for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like drink your lunch, drink your dinner, drink your breakfast. Want a snack? Drink your cheese and crackers. Put some water in it.
Well,
drink it.
That's an interesting idea. I guess if all our listeners out there think that's a great idea, let me know.
As long as we don't make sushi smoothies, okay?
Okay, that sounds pretty nasty.
Or fried chicken smoothies.
No. I think a green smoothie is one of the best for breakfast. Lunch, I like the chocolate monkey or funky monkey smoothie.
Nice.
It's
That's
quite
monkey
delicious.
in it, right?
No, but it's got banana and either chocolate milk, like soy chocolate milk, or chocolate protein powder. And then you throw a bit of peanut butter, a little bit of ice, a bit of milk, and it's done. Nice. But it's kind of good for lunchtime because you tend to be a little more hungry. Well, yeah, at least I do.
With me, like the last little while, like for lunch, I've been eating like half a piece of pita bread and some lunch meat, and then I've been eating a pint of either blueberries, raspberries, or blackberries.
Huh.
And just do that.
Oh, I love berries. I
love berries
are
too.
Great.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing. And then for dinner, I've been eating light as well. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's all about reinventing yourself. Like every day, you can make a new change.
That's true.
And that's how you got to look at life.
You can make positive choices to affect the future.
And please comment and tell us what you think about our lovely rant here.
Yeah, all this waffling. We're not used to having this much waffling in the podcast, but why not?
It's because Keith's here, because I talk all the time. I never shut up. You can ask this guy. I just don't. I'm never quiet.
He's a talkative guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty talkative. And we could probably go on till David's hard drive runs out. So.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to leave some comments in the show notes. I'll try to gather up those links and whatever else in the show notes. And you can also email me, david@daw-music.com, and let us know what you think.
Take care, guys. Pretty soon, David and I are gonna be working on another side project podcast, possibly.
Possibly.
And and possibly for my website that I'm going to be developing soon, and with his help.
Indeed.
So look out for that. So you have to visit 2 websites a week or a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And but that's okay. That's okay. You got time. You got time to
Yeah,
listen
you can
to
do
us.
it. You can do
You
it.
can do it. We believe in you.
believe
We believe in you. All right. Well, all right, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good morning. And I will see you next time David invites me.
You bet. So thanks again for being on the podcast, Keith.
Cheers.
This podcast is a part of the Blueberry Network. You can find this and other great podcasts at blueberry.com. That's blueberry with no e's.com.
You've been listening to the David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.